Hi, Collective. Welcome to the channel. So we're going to do a collective reading with the energies of 220. Okay, so really it's a 2 frequency today, right? So 2-2, and we've got our portal in 222 that is almost here. So we're really feeling this 2 energy now. Really, ever since the 2nd of February, the beginning of February, the portal opens up and it gets more and more intense. Okay. For February. So this energy has definitely been coming through, right? I haven't got to take a look too much into it, but it's probably why I've been feeling the energies a lot today. I was noticing what was going on when we're close to portal energies, like the way that I feel energy is me being the gatekeeper and a good worker is we hold the frequency and I can almost feel the energy coming through. And there was a couple of times throughout the day where I feel kind of disoriented around times of the portals and gateways. So a lot of times, like I do have to isolate. Um, but I mean, everything I say is significant. So maybe helping this for some of you, maybe you're being called to do that. There's definitely this frequency of 2 here, 2 of cups, and that's about self love and things like that. So for some of you, yeah, that could be why the energies were getting really intense for me last night too. As these energies are starting to come into, yeah, it was around after midnight. A lot of times I don't even often notice this portal energy until I'm feeling it, right? So there's definitely some big changes, right? And some big upgrades that are going on with this 2 frequency. And, 2 is, it's about choices and decisions and that pairing energy, right? And the equal give and take. Wow. There's definitely cycles that are closing out. I went right to the death card. I've been seeing the magician. And 5 of cups. You're definitely closing out what is not for you. You've manifested these new cycles. See, the magician with the death card, it's like you've manifested these new beginnings by allowing these endings to occur here. It's time for you to get what's fair with the 6 of Pentacles. I see the 4 of Wands, wow, right next to the Lovers. So you could very much be bringing in like a higher level lover, a soulmate. I was going to say I'm picking up a lot of this duality. I've been seeing a lot of black and white frequency and picking up on the 2 of Cups, the twin flame dynamic and things like that, and the pairing of that. For some of you, you could very much be realizing um, these attributes within others. Like you could really be seeing like who is like meant to be like mirrored reality, like almost want to say mirrored realities. And it's interesting as I was talking about mirrors before this, and I'm thinking a lot about the reflections, right? Like you could really be seeing things differently. For some of you, you're very much closing out cycles that you're realizing were part of this, like part of your journey, part of your path. Okay. It's leading it to your highest timeline kind of thing. Wow. Yeah, for some of you, you were dealing with energies where it was like people were fighting with you. Okay, we're seeing major changes here with the 5-5 and the 5 of Swords. It's definitely showing me like betrayal, malicious rumors, disagreements, hostility, hatred, sabotage, loss, failure, misfortunes. Like you could have been dealing with people that were putting you in this energy. But you know what? Even like your biggest enemies are like they're like your destiny helpers, and they're really the ones that align you with where you're meant to be, because without those, like you wouldn't level up. You know what I mean? Like when you run into like obstacles and things like that, or how you overcome them, they guide you in a way. You know what I mean? Like if everything was just so easily attainable, it wouldn't be, you know what I mean, as rewarding, and many would give up before going towards it, because it's like when you run into that resistance, these obstacles and these blockages, and you get kind of that jailbreak energy where it allows you to go after what it is you truly want to desire, where it makes it worth kind of the fight, because the 5 of Swords, I was gonna say, they were showing me like that 5 of Wands though, but like how that can be like the training. Okay, it's just I feel that it was taken to some very like dark levels. I feel like there were some people that were training with you, or it was almost like they were competing with you, but then it turns very dark, but in a way it was still helping you. That's why, like with this energy, like malicious rumors, hostility, hatred, I feel that it's like it was always meant for these things to have 3 of Pentacles. It was almost like they were supposed to work for work. Okay, it's like having adversaries and things like that, having enemies and things like that. They level you up. They allow you to obtain these things, but they were getting very heavily. Seven of Swords. It's like some things had gone like too far. Some would say, to the levels that they were taking. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like yeah, they keep showing me like sabotage. Yes, it is a Five of Pentacles. Like financial tension. I was seeing like financial ruin. Like for some, it's like they were meant to deplete your finances to kind of to get you to replenish like your own cup, your own money, your own resources and finances. But some things just look like moral degradation. Like things just went like very, 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 very heavy, very dark, right? Um, but you know what? Because they did, you're going to be getting more paid to you. It's like this is actually pushing you to advance further and faster, right? Like when you're enduring things that you're not supposed to be to the levels and the extent of what I'm getting here, like it's going to be made right for you, right? But it's like you have to get out of that energy of like wanting justice, wanting revenge. And it's kind of going off like the reading I was doing yesterday, where it was like, in the first reading, I was saying like, justice is coming in, but you need to trust and have faith that it's coming in. You can't go demanding it in. I don't know why I just said it like that. That's not what I meant to say. Somebody's kind of demanding it in. It's like you have to trust in divine timing for it to come in, and it's like it wasn't disclosing fully what the justice was. And then I was guided to do a second part to the reading where I was talking about how like trying to find out more like how justice is coming in, like you're meant to learn a lesson. It's like for some of you, like it was meant for you to learn a lesson, to learn something, to experience something. And I know that it was taken to extreme measures, you know what I mean, because there was heavily influenced, and maybe there was black magic spell work or just heavy like drug alcohol abuse, because that can really alter people's how they treat you, you know what I mean? Just like when somebody's under the influence of alcohol, they will take things to more extreme, doing things to more extreme, saying things on levels, it's like they lose control of their vessels. It's like and that's what I'm getting, it's like for some of you, it's like you had certain adversaries, but it's like they were compromised by entities. So they were being ran completely by entities due to like heavy addictions, drugs, and alcohol. So it's almost like our adversaries, these enemies, they lost control of the vessels, right? So literally, it was like you were coming up with the highest like demons, right? Like almost Satan himself, like right there, where maybe you weren't supposed to see it to those extremes. Like it wasn't supposed to happen to those extremes for you, right? It's like, but either way, like you're moving away from that. Justice is here, Six of Swords. That's what I mean. Divine's in everything. The world, like the cycle's closing out, but it's like if you were fighting back with it, if you were fighting these energies, if you were entertaining these energies, then it takes longer for the divine to intervene, right? You have to stop playing with them. And sometimes, we can be getting blessed and getting moved away from things, and if we're in that dark, dense energy, we don't feel it. You know, you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like you had to stop playing with these energies. For some of you, maybe you were doing very well at standing your ground, okay? But like, I don't know, you had to stop playing with them. Take whatever part you feel is for you. Any part that's not fitting, leave it out. Like if the other part of the reading's going and you're like, well, I wasn't playing with them, I was staying in my own space, then that's fine. Then you know that part wasn't for you, but who it's for, don't know. So, yeah, so there's this Eight of Swords energy, okay? So somebody was feeling, like slavery, coercive, restraint, isolation, unable to move, intellectual detention, self-containment, blindfolded interference, and frustration. So somebody was definitely, yeah, look, I can't make it up. This is strong devil energy. So slavery, again, and oppression, addiction, cold, rottenness, greed, unhealthy involvement, excessive dependence, pessimism, and darkness. It came out next to a King of Cups. So for some of you who've been dealing with King of Cups figure, okay, somebody very ambitious, intelligent, practical, entrepreneurship, wealth, patience, strength, stability, commitment, conditions, discipline, control, politeness, and kindness. It's almost like this devil was corrupting this King of Cups. It's almost like somebody that was very loving, kind, caring. It's supposed to be like, I felt like towards you was corrupted by dark influences. So they could have been coming off as like a King of Cups in reversed, right? Error, materialism, stupidity, ignorance, vulgar, greedy, dishonest, unskillful, clumsy, rigid, autocratic, workaholic, paranoia. And those dark energies, very emotionally undetached, very focused on the money material. I'm getting somebody who's very caught up in like money, material, possessive, control. Sometimes so much love can turn somebody toxic. Too much of anything, if it's in an obsessive manner, that dark energy of greed and envy, jealousy, and possessiveness can take over. It's like somebody could be very possessive of you because they love you so much and then it turned dark, right? Like literally, like that's what started to happen in my relationship. Like I started to realize like my lover was so worried about like me getting hurt. Like when we go for walks and things like that, like he doesn't like me anywhere near the busy streets and in the crosswalks and things like that. Because we had a friend of the family that literally was struck by a car a couple months ago and died, and she's in a crosswalk. Even like it's terrible. Not everybody understands that. The same time cars turn is when you get the signals to walk across. You're always supposed to wait and let the pedestrians go before the cars start to turn, right? And a lot of people don't know that. They just see the light and they think they can go. So you always have to watch the other cars, right? And so anyways, what I'm getting at is like, so whenever we'd go walking, it's like you'd always be yelling at me and pulling me, you know what I mean? And like he would get very angry and very anxious if I wasn't ahead of him and things like that. And he'd gotten to where I'd had call him out and have some fits and stuff to be like, no, you're gonna stop like pulling me, pushing me, like is starting to turn. Like I get it, like you're worried about my safety, right? It wasn't like in like do you see what I mean? Like he didn't realize that a lot of his control, just afraid things were going to happen, or not wanting me to ride the city buses, a lot things like that, worried that things were going to happen. But it was like this lifestyle has really caused a lot of things, right? And the situations and the places, right, that we've lived, like some of the places haven't been the safest, so things like that. But it was like that was starting to like the paranoia too. I'm picking up heavy was starting to turn somebody, because if you have fear, that's when you're leaving doors open for demonic attachments and things like that to get in there, right? And sometimes people can be coming off that energy and they don't realize it. Like if you love something too much, right? Like you can suffocate, right? And that's what it's giving too. Like butterfly, like you can't trap a butterfly, just like you can't even like hold a butterfly or touch its wings. They're so delicate, you'll break them, right? Well, it's something like that. Like even as the most gentle, like as you could be, that can still happen, So I'm not saying that everything. It's just one of those like even things that are so beautiful, like they have to be handled delicately, right? It could go the wrong way very quickly or whatever, and especially if there's traumas and things like that. And like he has a lot of my lover has a lot of traumas. Like he's lost a lot of friends and stuff. So I know he's got wounds around loss and things like that. So yeah, show me the Five of Cups and the Tower. But you have to heal from those things, right? All of those things that create fear, anxiety, any of those things, like you have to work through those, or paranoia, fear, can take over, and it can get you out of balance, right? And it can mess with your emotional state, right? So it's not always like a bad, that's why when, like the devil can very much be associated to me with fear, right? A lot of people, they see the devil and they automatically think that that's just like a choice you choose to get into. Like literally, like he was getting so possessive because he was, so loving that he thought it was the protective nature, right? And sometimes it's like you'll think that you can scare, like remember that energy as a parent, like if your kid's not listening and they're scaring you, if you ever, sometimes you feel as though you may want to impose that fear um, to get them to realize they're scaring you, right? I feel like I need to explain a situation, explain this a little bit more. Like for instance, like one instance is like my eldest son. He constantly runs away, and it's very scary when you can't locate your child, right? Especially they're hiding, things like that. And so one of the times when I ordered him for somewhere to have some treatment, and I told him you're gonna stop running away, you're gonna stop doing this. So he was court ordered to go somewhere and for a treatment for a facility, and it was around the time, I know it wasn't the best, but it was around the time that we had a hurricane come through and we had gotten displaced and all of that. And I was more like, I knew that he was safe and he was getting moved. So I knew that he was getting moved to a safer location, but they were trying to reach out to us, and I wasn't answering the phone because I knew that he was safe and getting moved. It was also because I wanted to make sure that they were going to move him and not make me have to move him, because I didn't even know where we were going to go at this time. Like we hadn't even had our location. Literally, we were getting removed from our hotel, and we hadn't. So at the same time, it was like I knew that he was safe. I didn't want to take him on and not. And especially him constantly running away, I was thinking, oh God, what if he's in my custody? He's one where he's like me, he likes to go out in the storms. I'm like, I don't want him out, in the storms and stuff. And I knew that he was safe, right? So anyway, like I was like, I'm not going to answer the phone. And this is one of these things where I'm going to put some fear into him. I'm going to have him fear that he can't locate his mom. Like, this several times he ran away, right? So it was like, and it was to show him, like, what are you going to do if and I said this to him before, like, what are you going to do if all of a sudden, like, I don't come get you? They can't locate me. You can't find me. What do and stuff. So it was to scare him to not be able to locate me for a few days, right? And then especially I didn't really was even thinking that he was worried about the storm and what so but then our phones went down and all of that too. So it ended up being longer than it was supposed to. It was for around a week and stuff. And as soon as we got everything back up, of course, and he was brought back to the facility. It was so cute. We were literally on our way to go down there, and the law enforcement had found us. So but anyways, like, and he had told me, like, that really scared me, like that I couldn't locate. Please don't ever do that again. I mean, he's still doing his little games, but he's checking in this time. And that's what it took. Before, he would take off and he'd be hiding from things, and sometimes it would go, for days, law enforcement wouldn't be able to find him, so at least it's like he's still doing it being a little teen and things like that, but at least he's checking in and stuff, so it took a little bit of that fear to get him to realize that you need to stop being in, what I mean? So fear can where was I going with this? Explain the story. Like fear can definitely, like, you have to let it go. You can't I don't know where I was going with this. However I started it, and then they got me into that story to explain a little bit. Oh, and like the tough love, because every little bit that I give is going to be helpful. Like, you really do have to be tough with your kids. Like, you can't give up on them. And something I was going to say, like, for those of you that you have a child that's running away, being defiant, like, literally, I was telling my lover, like, I'm going to tell people this: if I ever have anybody come to alignment with me that they have a child that's running away and being a teen, like, you need to call, like, every single time. Every single time they take off on you. Every single time they don't listen, they don't come home, call. report it every single time, because if you don't, you're going to get to that point where they're not going to listen to you at all, and then they're not going to listen to law enforcement at all, and you're going to have no control whatsoever, and it's going to be they got away with it so many times that it's not going to work anymore. You know how scary that is when you have a child that all of a sudden will not listen to you, will not listen to law enforcement, will not listen to anybody, and now you try to take control over that situation. Like literally, like that's where I'm at now. And this system, there's so many children there's not enough resources for all of these children and for these intervention. Like that's why the parents have got to take control over their children, and you have to do these things. Like I know the police are going to keep bringing them back but at least they are bringing them back to you, and at least they are going and they're getting their kids and they're bringing them back to you, right? And embarrassing them. Like I can't tell how many times like he was embarrassed because he'd get picked up from his friends. Nope, you didn't get home, your mother reported you, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But you have to keep up with it, because they really feel like they're not loved too if you're not doing that. And a lot of the times they're literally doing that because it's like they want to play those games. Like my son was starting to love all the interaction that he was getting with the law enforcement, and I realized that I'm like, that's like his male role models, right? And they started to like really work with him. Like it was cute, the little town that we were in. Like they literally leave him in the car with them sometimes for a couple of hours, just talking with them, all sorts. You know what I mean? Just trying to help stop him from running away. Like, you know what I mean? Like listening to him, talking to him. And I realize that like sometimes children, they do act out because they're getting that attention, and especially if you have a child that doesn't have, like a male father. I mean, and I know there's lots of women and law enforcement officers as well. But sometimes these children, like he's opened up to some of the things with the law enforcement that like he couldn't even open up to me about. And I remember for a little while, I was like, look at you, like helping out getting this and finding things out and stuff. So, and he started to cooperate more. And then there would be times that like he'd get left from his friends or whatever. And then he wasn't afraid to approach law enforcement and get a ride home. And be able to come out and, you know what I mean? And to know that they would help him get home safely. And instead of fearing, thinking the only time I can talk to law enforcement is when I'm in trouble and things like that. So definitely like they help a lot, especially if you just need to get them out to your house to calm your kid down. You need help, right? Like, I remember a lot of people are against it too, especially with like all the DCF cases and things like you need to not fear that, right? So I've had a lot going on with my kid this week. So he's heavily on my mind, and I almost wasn't going to do some readings, but Divine was like, no, do some readings, incorporate some of that in there. So that's why more of this stuff's going to be coming out like this week. But, if it's not for you, then don't worry about it. Watch whatever is for you, right? But this Empress is coming out with the Knight of Wands. What's this about? 2311 on the clock as I say that. Let me get back into a few more cards. Justice is definitely, it's been coming out all night, which is so beautiful because it's definitely what I need to see today. Equilibrium, harmony, fairness, accountability, integrity, consciousness, careful selection, conscious review, and right decisions. So for some of you, it's confirmation that you are getting justice. And that's what I was saying. Like, it's like blind justice. I heard for some of you, you're not seeing it. And sometimes I'm getting too, like, you may do something where your child, may come off saying they hate you, or you may think that they're going to hate you, but they're going to realize that it was done out of love. They might not admit it, but like I said, a lot of these badass kids, they really are doing this stuff for like price protection. They really are. Even if they're ever going to admit it to you or not. So keep that in mind. Look, I'm seeing the Emperor and the Empress boom together. I told you there's something about this boss energy coming together. This pair, right? Maybe it's you balancing out, you taking authority in action. I've been getting strong motherly vibes, so it makes sense seeing the Empress coming out here. Maybe there is strong energy of you balancing out and you getting into your masculine energy and you finally handling things, right? When you start, like if you're one where you're like, why does this keep happening to me? Like you'd be getting yourself trapped and stuff. Like if you're saying none of this is working and things like that, like you first of all, you got to stop saying that. I got stuck in that cycle for a while. right? And because you won't see yourself out of a situation. If literally you say, I'm trapped, I'm stuck, I can't get myself out of the situation, then you can't get yourself out of the situation. Because you have now said that, so your consciousness is going to project that. Now, if you say, divine, most high, my angels, whoever, you're asking for help and assistance, because we're not supposed to be doing this all alone. To guide you, to show you a way, to align you with somebody, to show you some sort of resources, to give you the strength, the courage that you need, then they will. And you're going to see things. Sometimes I love to say, universe, wow me today. Show me a new perspective. Show me something. Align me with somebody new. Allow me to see a new direction, a new way. They will. The hermit is about spending that time alone, but going within, looking for the answers, not sitting down just thinking about everything that is played out over and over and over. Looking for new ways, finding that enlightenment, right? Because I don't think that you're going to get this, what you need through people. Like whatever this enlightenment is, I feel that's coming. I feel strongly like you're going to discover something, like a light's going to turn on within. I think like you're going to realize you have a lot more power than you realize, you know, self-discovery, meditation, moderation, attunement, contact with the roots, withdrawal from society, patience, prudence, solitary time, carefully planning, counseling, and self-examination is all coming in the card. It's interesting. I was guided to this deck too, and I was called to read. Whenever I'm called to read the cards, I do. Okay, so you know, this is coming out for somebody, right? Star card is here. I'm getting there's healing that's coming in here. Good fortune, optimism, enjoyment, confidence, comfort, happiness, help, protection, restoration, altruism, wisdom, creativity, well-being, and balance. There's definitely a balance that's coming in. I feel it's been a long time. I feel there's been, a lot of competition, a lot of devil-like energy getting in, a lot of rivalry. Okay. And I'm getting very strongly that something was coming in from fear too. Something strong with fear. Closing that cycle of fear, shutting down that door. They've been showing me the Seven of Swords too. Falsity, sabotage, hidden or illegal tactics, indirect action, warning. All right, but I guess that's all for this reading. I'm going to leave this one here. Definitely sending love and light to all of you. Watch whatever you feel guided to. All right, bye guys.